Our next story is all about Joshua Chisanga. He is the first Kenyan rugby player to go pro, playing for the Newcastle Falcons, and is also a part of the Kenya 15 side, playing as a forward. Well, Sports Central went ahead and linked up with Joshua to find out how his career is going so far. Take a look.
Described as a powerful and athletic presence in the back row, Joshua Chisanga began his rugby journey at Hana International School in Kampala, Uganda, before returning to Kenya.
I played a tournament. I played the Nakuru Tens for Machine. Then I played a bit of the Enterprise Cup and the Chairman's Cup. Then after that, I featured for the Kenya Under-19s. We went to Zimbabwe. After Under-19s, I joined Homeboys officially.
Persistence in the sport, coupled by a series of high performances, impressed the Kenya 15 selectors, earning him inclusion in the 2014 squad for the Vodacom Cup, which is a South African provincial tournament that at the time included a Kenyan representative side.
It was in my final year when they kind of formed a 15s side, and I was like, hey, that could be me, because I was interested in Homeboys because of their sound engineering and their music production. So I thought that could be an avenue for me to gain that experience per se. So yeah, I've always wanted to join Homeboys, and then I worked for them for a little bit before I joined Newcastle in the UK.
After a series of caps for the national side, Chisanga was invited to Newcastle for a trial before being offered a permanent contract with the Kingston Park Club.
So we're playing in this tournament called the Vodacom Cup, and there were agents at this tournament, just watching the game and all that. This agent asked if I have an agent representing me. I didn't have an agent. I didn't even know I'm supposed to have an agent at the time. So he introduced me to a friend of his who works in London, and he told me to send him some clips of me playing, and I sent him clips from Vodacom Cup. The only challenge was that they were not exposed to Kenya or Kenyan players, so that was a challenge, because it was diving into the unknown, and no one was kind of willing to take that risk. He said there's an opportunity with Newcastle. They just want to test you and see, where it goes. I was like, hey, why not? They're paying for the flights, they were paying for everything, and they wanted to see how I do. And you never know who you would meet out there. So I went out there, did my medical, did my physicals. Yeah, played one game, scored twice, and I signed a contract. Yeah, and that's how Newcastle happened. It was an experience, because I've always wanted, to play top flight rugby wherever I go. That's been my dream ever since I can remember, And back in the day, if you didn't play in the Super Series, you're just not worth talking about or even looking at.
Even though Chisanga's exciting technique to ball carrying and physical play has proved valuable for Newcastle, professional rugby is quite different from what he was previously used to.
It's different. It's nothing I've ever experienced. The closest I've come to an experience like that was the 2 months that we spent in South Africa. And the attention to detail is amazing, You have feedback for everything, for your body position, for the games. The analysis is crazy. You have clips of training, That's something that we haven't gotten to yet, We're just like getting used to having clips from the game. How much we do it, you do it every day, every single day. Whereas at home, we do it twice a week, in the evening or maybe in the morning. For a long time, I wanted to play. I wanted to feature in one of the teams. I remember the first time I was called up for a Super Series team, franchise rather, I was 18, but I had just injured my knee, so I couldn't feature. After the injury, I came back and I decided to just be a full-time forward. And, one thing led to the other. I was called up for the Papa franchise, and the next game, I was in the starting lineup, and it's kind of been an up for me ever since then. Then the African Championship in Madagascar, then the World Cup qualifiers that didn't go so well in Madagascar as well. So it's been a great journey for me. In the next 5 to 10 years, I'm looking to play in the World Cup. I'm looking to be an Rugby Player of the Year, and I'm looking to be an ambassador of peace through rugby and music. If possible, the pathway for people to go pro, you know? Having the first one to do it, I want to set a platform, a good example. And when people hear of Kenyan players, they'll be like, yeah, you know, they're hardworking players, they're good players, they're well behaved.
I'm so psyched by stories like that. It's such, you know, it's so telling about persistence, what can really avail when you just work hard.
Yep, work hard, that's the key. And of course, respect to him.
Yeah.
I think he's doing a fabulous job. And speaking of teams doing fabulous jobs, unajua, the return leg of the Elgon Cup is coming through over the weekend. So do this. We look forward to seeing you at the KRU grounds to support Team Kenya. Of course, Simba ni moja.
Ndio kabisa, Simba ni moja. Well, before we wrap up the show, of course, we have to show love to everybody who's on the timeline. So let's go ahead and do the dang thing.
Yes, we've got Josephine Cheryl. You're saying you're loving the day's episode, and of course, previous episodes saying the show never disappoints. Mama, that's so true. We never disappoint.
Thank you, Josephine. Alvin wants to know if I'm gonna pick up that basketball and do a little something, you know, give Mike a run for his money. Well, you never know what the future holds.
Well, maybe she will do that pretty soon, but it's time for us to say kwaheri. So what we're gonna do is leave you with our internet find of the week. And hey, until next time,
keep it Sports Central.
Bullseye, it's just not that easy.
So what's coming next is gonna blow your mind.